So we return to the Mithril Bazaar with the Clan Primer shop nearby. Finally went to bed last night, so I'm back for a nice fresh morning, as pretty much autumn's starting to set in now. Very sad. Not many Imperials around here, just the way I likes it. Always walking about like their night soil smells better than the rest of ours. The Knights of Damascus, they knew how to treat a person with respect. So yeah, this guy, this is a Sikh. This is what I sort of mentioned the other day, these kind of piggy-looking guys. To be honest, I always get Sikh and Banga confused. I'm kind of hoping that, you know, talking into a microphone here and saying their names out loud will help to solidify that in my mind, but hey. This guy's called Rex's friend. He says, hey there, Varn. Glad to see you're doing alright. You may want to think twice before picking Imperial pockets, though. You always were raising some kind of trouble. I remember Rex was always fussing at you about one thing or the other. Ah, those were the days. Now, here's the funny thing. You see how he's called Rex's friend? I spoke to him just before the recording started here because I was like, oh, what NPCs do I want to speak to? To cut down on airtime but give you guys the best. And anyway, I think initially he was called Rabanaston, like this guy. Then, when I spoke to him, his nameplate updated. Now, that will happen on occasion. So, you can kind of get back to whoever you were referring to before. I'm running an errand for the boss. He works for us like dogs, that Mont Blanc boss. See, so he's a part of the clan, but they have to be kind of quiet about it. So I've always really liked this clan shop. The idea that there is one shop filled with special wares that only update as you build up in the hunter rank. So they have to be skills you can kind of get by beating the game without using, because, or you know, if they are skills or just items in general, whatever his wares are, because the clan Centurio itself is kind of an optional thing. But in the re-releases with all the green magics being here, I think it kind of works. They really shuffled a lot of green and white magics around. I think originally, stuff like Protect, which reduces incoming damage, and Shell, which reduces incoming magic damage, stuff like that started as green magic, but now is white. And so then that means you can still get those really good skills without doing Clan Centurio and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, by the way, you shouldn't just tunnel vision people with, like, the smiley faces. But there's always interesting stuff to see. Even just looking around anyway, is this lady sitting on this? My husband spent almost every last skill we had on a new shipment of goods for the shop. Hope to keep the customers coming, but there's a creature wandering the desert that's been keeping traders from getting through the city. My husband's been so worried that something will happen to our shipment, he's practically boarded himself up in the tavern. See? So this is Gatsley's wife. And you can only really speak to her about that here, I guess. There's just so many things that update, it's nuts. So I do want to mention, you hear that sort of background with all the people talking? That also appears in the Sandsea Tavern, and you want to know something really kind of weird? That is actually original Japanese voices. Those are like Japanese conversational pieces going in the background. The localization team explained they didn't want to update for here in the West. Also, do you remember the Numo we spoke to on the legend there, McEnroe? He's kind of a reference to Tactics, it seems. There's I think an Numo character in Tactics that has a name very similar. You would say it the same way, McEnroe, but it's spelled differently or something like that. There's an Imperial over here. The ceremony's over. You're free to move about Lowtown and pass through the gates. So where we are right now is kind of a weird area of Rabanastre. There is no north gate. You can travel north of Rabanastre, but you do it by going out the Ester Sand or out the Wester Sand and then sort of arcing around and up. Well, specifically the Ester Sand. There's no way north from the Wester Sand. Well, unless you use some caves. Anyway, the idea that there's no north gate always kind of irritated me because I always wanted to go north and could never actually get through. But it means that this map is really not used for very much. There's Clan Centurio, and then there's a Gambit shop here. We don't know what Gambits are yet, but there's a special kind of shop here. But all this, you don't really use. There's one quest later we'll come back to, which is kind of funny. Nice statues, by the way. But that's about it, in all honesty. So, yeah, let's just get moving. I won't speak to everyone. What are our jobs? Well, to go to Lowtown, speak to old Dallin. We do have a side quest to hunt the Thex Terror that we just had that woman talking about a little bit. That is not the Lowtown doorway. Here's the Gambit shop itself. If we come to a Gambit shop too early, and we are about to do just a little bit of shopping to prepare. You remember I got a license earlier I want to use. You'll see there's all these people in here. Greenhorn. This is my first time in Yamoras. I was just getting an explanation about Gambits from this kid here. It's all about efficiency, he says. These guys are having a chat. He's called Lord Vane. Now, remember the console is called Lord Vane. Vane Solidor. So his name is similar to the console's name, but it's not the same. It's spelled different. Looks like you've wandered into Gambit's shop by mistake, boy. A great tool for leading a party of adventurers, which I can't help but see you lack. See, with a good set of Gambits, you don't have to shout instructions left and right in a battle. First, you need a party, though. So, yeah, we don't have a party. He says, did I watch the parade? Does a forest watch the ocean? Parades are nothing to one traveling the way of the Gambit. Seek me out when the way of the Gambit is open to you, and I will lead you down its path. So, yeah, kind of easy to miss dialogue here. And Yamura himself? That's weird, actually. I don't know whether you ever really see any female Banga, or whether they look different. Sorry, still getting the shop in order. It will be a while yet, so you may want to try back later. One of the things Final Fantasy doesn't do as a general anthology thing too often is copy the same races between games. I mean, maybe Mughals count, but I'd love to have seen, you know, maybe like Banga or Sikh or something in like Final Fantasy VI or whatever. But hey, so anyway, that's one shop. We're going to ignore that one. Now, there was a stairway to Lowtown on the left a second ago. This is another one, the technique shop, but we have the only technique I'm interested in right now. And we only have a limited pocket, so we've got to be careful. There's magics here. Now, this one's important. Yuguri's magics. You can usually tell that there's a magic shop because the banner is this kind of very specific color. I want to say purple, but I'm scared it's not proper purple. Anyway. So she says, I'm studying magic so I can protect myself if I must. It's not that I don't trust the new console, but we each have a duty to keep our city safe. So here's Yuguri. How may I help you? Well, first of all, oh no, we did already sell that stuff. I'm not going to sell the Libra motes. We could get a lot of money from them, but they're quite a limited resource, so I'm holding on to those for now. I will sell, Firefly's kind of useful in a bit. I'll keep the Firefly. So she sells 4 spells at the start of the game. 2 white magic ones, which I guess we can buy. They'll be useful later. Actually, and we just don't have the money. So there's a fire spell, which obviously Rex knew, so I'm going to pick that up. Only 180. And the slow spell. So slow will slow one foe's actions by 50%. Now it has an 85% accuracy. So all spells will appear in the inventory under the ability section. So we've got fire, slow, and steel. You can filter by type. Right now we have no white magic. We have no green magic. Green magic actually doesn't even appear as a tab right now. That's kind of weird. There's another type of magic too, a really cool one called arcane, but we'll get to that later. So slow is really important, especially for boss fights. You're really going to want to focus on actually keeping that up on the bosses as we go forwards. It can be good in the open field as well. So, yeah, just pay attention to that. I don't think we could have bought that earlier for the Rogue Tomato. So, yeah, in the original release, there were some more spells available there, but they've now moved to chests, which we're going to go grab in a second. The other thing I want to do is come over to this. Actually, we don't have to buy any armor or anything like that, but I will show you the Amal's weaponry shop. Now, there's a huge number of weapons in this game. Vaan can only use daggers right now because that's the job we chose for him. So there are a lot of other early game things. There's sword, the broadsword, a katetsu, which is a katana. We can start the game with katana. Katanas are actually one of my favorite weapons in this game. The way that they work is their damage formula means you don't build strength to hit harder with a katetsu, with katanas. You build magic. You build like intelligence, I guess, is the way that works. I'm not sure why they tied it to magic, but that means you can have mages wielding katanas. Do you remember the Bushi that I showed you before? That was a special job that specifically revolves around getting arcane armor and lots of magic potency with katanas. I really like that. I don't know why. There's spears. And different enemies can be hit by different things. Like, if you want to shoot something flying around, a short bow will help, or a spear will help, but a regular sword won't. And then hand axes. In the original version of the game, some of these had damage on them that meant they did, like, really random damage, but they've been kind of refined now. The guns are amazing. Really, really strong. Guns, basically, you don't need any strength or anything to do lots of damage, and they penetrate defenses. They're just insanely strong, and they do like a flat amount, which makes sense for a gun. They can crit sometimes, which I guess is like getting a headshot or something, and they can do so much damage. They are really badass. You get different ammo that you can equip for them. In general, you know, you might hit harder with other stuff, but when you find something kind of tanky, a gun's pretty good. Guns are also bad against, like, ghosts. You can't shoot ghosts. They do very little damage to ghosts. And they're bad against, like, flans, if we ever find any flans. We'll talk about those later. So, they just got all these amazing sides to them, right? And by the way, yeah, you can crit with a gun, but you can combo with a sword, right? So, you can have a crit and combo, but, like, that swaps. So anyway, yeah, I didn't want to buy anything in the shop. I just wanted to show you guys how much early game gear there is. And based on the jobs you pick, is going to change what you're picking up there. Do you remember I told you guys I did a weak mode, a new game minus run? Well, guns were really good there. So, all of that said and done, let's look at our map here. We don't need to go to the regular item shop. I'm just going to go to Lowtown now, I think. So you'll notice that there are 2 staircase icons on the map. They both take you to Lowtown, which is split into 2 sections. Lowtown, I've actually talked about in a lot of videos over the years, because Lowtown to me is my favorite area of Rabanasta. Mainly due to the music, but particularly the way that lots of side quests end up working here. This place is just so cool. This is such an immersive, wonderful, exciting place. And the music to explore and just like look around in all these little rooms. Look at this. This little kid laying on a box. This guy's selling some stuff, even though we can't speak to him. We see he's here. That place seems closed up. Here, there's someone sitting on the floor. This place is huge, guys. And all of these have like little unique stories to tell as you look into each one. Then, of course, there are the regular NPCs we can speak to. Grown-ups never cease to amaze me. When we first moved down to Lowtown, they said they couldn't live in such a place. Now they pay it no mind. I don't know if they're just being brave or strong, or maybe they've just given up. Wow, the well-spoken boy giving us some cutting truths there, it seems. And yeah, you got like these things draped down everywhere. Wasn't easy converting Lowtown into someplace livable. I remember when it was nothing more than a maze of storehouses. Just look at these hanging rugs, for example. May not be much, but they help make the place a little bit more homey. So this is kind of where the people generally live now. I think this is one of the scummiest, worst things that the Imperials do. And it's totally, like, underplayed, really, in the story. You know, they don't talk about it too much. Okay, so first I just want to get a grip of where we are. All right, we're here. So there are chests in Lowtown. One of the chests in Lowtown is very special. I will get to that in a second. We can grab them. They'll sometimes have potions. They'll sometimes have gil. The way the chests work is you've got a chance for it to spawn, a chance for it to contain gil, a chance for it to contain an item, and if you got it to spawn as an item, then there's a chance it will be a rare item. And then there's an item you can equip, an accessory, that will change what the common and the rare item becomes. So there's just all this like randomness to the chests. Time was, I had a shop up in the city. Look what they've driven me to. Breaks my heart to think about it. Oh, I'm sure it does. Right, so yeah, we're in 2 sections. We do want to be in the south section of Lowtown. Did we just go north? No, we didn't. That's weird, because I came down... Oh, actually, there's 3 entrances to Lowtown. Of course there are. So yeah, there's a staircase at the very top. There's like a closed little house up here as well. That's what that face icon means, the residence. But it's locked at the moment. We won't be able to get in there. The Waterway, this is actually where we saw Varn started earlier. Not quite where the game began, but where Varn was. Anyway, we want to go to Old Dallin, who's just down here. This place is really cool as well. Look at this. You get all these, this water. Now, this is actually from a river that, we haven't seen the river just yet, but it does flow through. I think one of these guys explains. Fighting against the Empire is all well and good, but it's not enough. You've got to find something more to live for, a dream to follow. I don't know what kind of world he'll grow up in, but so long as there are people who follow their dreams, it can't be all that bad. Like here, they're telling the story of a nation that's had to give up its ambitions, you know, which is kind of, I guess, what Japan went through in World War II to an extent. See that man squatting down over there? They say he used to be a sky pirate. Don't know if he was a for real one or if a fake one, though. Who? The man squatting down? This guy, he says he was a sky pirate. Oh, well, now he doesn't want to fight the Empire at all. Anyway, yeah, someone, I guess later in the game, will explain where all this water comes from. No money, no job, I'm bored to tears. It's okay, man, I'm sure you find some work. Here, by the way, this merchant, he says he's hardly sold anything. He sells you a Mithril Sword. This is what Rex had. You could get this back. This is actually not a bad weapon in my current setup because it does swing very fast. You can get some antidotes too. Don't worry about buying those. I'm hoping to pick up some of those for free later, which is nice. The guileless girl. Sometimes I play down in the alley in front of Old Dallin's, but I ain't supposed to go up to Southgate. Nope. You can sometimes tell when they're meant to be British. In fact, we're going to meet some creatures later that are all extremely like London sounding, and I'm looking forward to playing and showing them off to you guys. So we get another chest over there. I think the chests in here also have kind of a unique sort of appearance. They have like a blue cloth. Now, yeah, it hasn't spawned. So there is a chest here. I would re-roll over and over and over again, but there's no point. There is a chest that spawns right here near these crates. And it's a very special, very weird chest. In fact, I will re-roll because, hey, why not? We are going to be doing a bit of a talk here about the original edition of the game. So, in the original edition of the game, there was an ultimate spear, an ultimate weapon, and there was an ultimate shield. They were called best, like, strongest spear and strongest shield. That's what their names were. This was in the Japanese release. And they were called strongest spear and strongest shield because there's like a Chinese proverb, I think, that they were referencing, where a merchant rolls into town and he says, hey, I have the strongest spear and I have the strongest shield, will you buy them? And a kind of a shrewd customer asks, hey, if they're both the strongest, what happens if I try to break the strongest shield with the strongest spear? To which the merchant has no answer and the merchant leaves town. I think that's the proverb. It's something like that. So anyway, in Final Fantasy XII in Japan, they reference that by having a really godly shield and a really godly spear weapon. The spear is what captured the player's attention the most because people like to do damage, right? So the ultimate thing was this thing called the strongest spear. When it came to the West, they renamed them to the Zodiac spear and the Zodiac shield. And they're really famous. The Zodiac spear, sorry, I think it's called the Zodiac escutcheon, actually. And the original shield in the original version of the game was called the escutcheon, so the Zodiac escutcheon is the best one. Anyway, the spear. People love the Zodiac spear. Really crazy strong. And there is a place you can get it in the game, like ultra rare from a chest, like a 1% chance to spawn, and then once you open the chest, a 1% chance for it to be the spear. So you've got like a 1 in 1,000 chance of getting it. It's stupid. But the devs did add a sneaky, guaranteed way to get it. Here you go. Not through RNG manipulation or anything, but a real way to get it beyond the crazy RNG chest in late game. And it involves this chest. It's the most obnoxious, insane thing ever. They made it so that a couple of chests, and you'll see this thing doesn't look any different to any of the others. They made it so a couple of the chests around the world, if you don't open them, then you are guaranteed the Zodiac spear in a very specific place later. I'm not joking. So there's this idea of the forbidden chests. Now, what's your tip-off to not open... And this is one of the forbidden chests. What's your tip-off not to open the forbidden chest, guys? What is it? Well, there isn't one. You would have absolutely no way of figuring this out in-game. Now, I found that completely unbelievable. I thought, do you know what? There must be some super obscure hint or tip-off somewhere in the game that lets people know. Like, how did the original players figure out that there was a guaranteed method for the Zodiac spear that was developer intended that involved not opening these random chests? Like, we're allowed to open all the other random chests around here, but this one, we're not? And it's right outside Old Dallin, so all players are going to come here. They're all going to see this, but it's forbidden. Like, there must be a real reason. I couldn't find it. I swear to God, I've done so much Googling. I can't find the real reason. The only reason I can find, and the only way people figured this out, as far as I can see, and I have a cynical mind, I don't believe this can be true, but apparently it's just to sell video game guides. We already saw, if you watched me play Final Fantasy X-2, that they went really kind of crazy with that sort of stuff. Well, this is the most obnoxious, insane thing I believe they ever implemented in the entire main series Final Fantasy saga. They stopped pulling this crap when it came to 13 and 14 and so on. Well, I can't really speak to 14 as an MMO, but 15 and so on. But this is insane. It really seems like they just wanted people to buy the guide. Which, in the re-releases, they removed the whole idea. The chest is no longer forbidden. We can pick it up, but it's this crazy big important bit of trivia. I'll mention some of the other forbidden chests as we go. It's just really, really, really bonkers to me. The guide, for what it's worth, is super cool. I actually had a collector's edition of the guide found in a thrift store once, which was like hardback and had this beautiful brown cover and stuff. Actually, still have it on my shelf to this day and is one of the coolest video game guides I've ever owned. I wish I could kind of use it here and now, to be honest, for you guys on this playthrough, but everything's out of date because it's an earlier edition of the game. And yeah, so the guides told you about the forbidden chests. Nuts. If you guys in the comments have any real further clarification about an actual player way of figuring all that out, let me know. But yeah, what a contemptible feature. Anyway, yeah, he just mentioned this is Old Dallen's. This is what they call the South Gate over there. Back when they were moving freight and caravans from Giza Plains through the South Gate, they must have needed doors as large as this one to pass through. Pity this is the only one that still works. So yeah, this used to just be a big storehouse place. This reminds me a lot of, like, going to a big mall. I don't know if you guys have ever worked at a shop in a giant, like, mall or whatever, but you can usually, at the back of the shop, there's a doorway that customers can never go through or utilize, but where it will open you into these big warehouses where all the lorries deposit their goods, which then feed all the shops in this, like, quite complicated mall area. But that's basically what Lowtown reminds me of. And yeah, if you try to look up, you can kind of see it's just dark and gloomy and horrible here. It also reminds me of an old documentary I used to watch, or did watch once, where they talked about homeless people living in this massive underground, like, complex under some American city. What city was that? It was a really interesting documentary. They talked about some crazy stuff, and these people that lived in darkness, like literally below the city. And that's what this makes me think of. And it was a really chilling documentary, so kind of adds an extra realistic touch to Lowtown to me. Vaughn, is that you? Can't remember the last time I saw you down here to visit Old Dallen. That little boy did not sound like a little boy. Alright, so let's go meet Old Dallen now that those amazing trivia bombs are dealt with.
Ah, if it isn't Von Ratsbane. Come for a tip on how to secure something bigger and in armor by the East Gate?
What? You already heard about that?
Wise I may not be, but well informed I am.
They'll get what's coming to them someday, believe me. But that's not why I'm here.
Oh, I thought he was talking about the tomato for a second.
Do tell.
I was like, it's in armor?
I want to know how to sneak into the palace. They've got to have some great stuff in there. Thought I'd partake.
Not one to mince words, are you, boy? The Empire protects all that's hers, and that means the palace and all the treasures inside.
That's why I'm gonna do it. To take back what's ours.
So, our champion of the sewers aspires to noble action. Admirable. Perhaps I can help you. Ah, now that I think on it, there was a rumor. Yes, a secret passageway into the palace walls. A door and a magic stone that opens the way.
That's it. This is exactly why I came to talk to you first, Alan. So, where's this, magic stone?
Oh, I've had it for years, if I can remember where I've tucked it away.
So, that dialogue's really weird, because he says he's got it, and then he doesn't actually. We've got to do something else. Weird cutscene. Old Dallen is a really strange character. He's a bit like Magello, where we talked to him a good amount early, and then he's, like, gone from the story. But, weirdly, as you progress through the main plot, you can always return to Old Dallen for, like, no reason. But he will keep acting as a guide for you. He'll tell you where to go next and what to do, which doesn't matter because you can always just open your map and it will tell you where to go and what to do. So I guess they had bigger plans for him or different ideas. It's that whole director swap thing, where it feels like the first half of the game was setting up stuff that never ended up doing anything in the second half of the game, or the later acts. I don't want to say half and half, because it's not really half and half. But, so yeah, I think Old Dallen, they had ideas that kind of fell by the wayside in the end. He's a really, really interesting character. I'll be talking more about him as we go through the story. Anyway, I've heard all I need. So this Crescent Stone, can I have it? Then I can find the secret passage into the palace, right? Not much of a listener, are you? The Crescent Stone has lost its magics. Really? When did you say that? Without the power of a Sunstone, it will be of little use. Right, so where can I get a Sunstone? You seek the Giza Plains. Speak with one of the nomads there, and you will find your Sunstone. Leave by the south gate and continue south. Their village is not far. There are likely to be beasts on the plains, so be careful, my boy. You do not have to oh, sorry, Vaughn says, you don't have to worry about me. I'll be back before you know it. Great. So, we are looking to get a Crescent Stone, which will let us sneak into the palace. The Crescent Stone requires a Sunstone. And the reason I repeat that is because there's going to be more stones in a second. You go to Giza Plains. Be careful. Look at this. Look behind the rugs. There's people sitting around back there. It's so nice. I need that Sunstone, Vaughn. This is one of those places where playing the game on a higher resolution does ruin it a little bit, because you can kind of see that it's just a dead end behind the rugs. But hey, whatever. You may want to talk with a Moogle from the Cartographers Guild in the Southern Plains before you leave for Giza. It can't hurt to have a map. Alright, well, we'll see. So, yes, there is another guild, the Cartographers. We don't get to join that one, but we do get to give them a lot of money if we like. And I probably will do so. Let's see, Giza Plains. Hang on right here, and I'm practically at the south gate. This will be easy. So, and look, the chest is respawned now. I think the forbidden chest never respawned in the initial edition of the game either, so hey, there you have it. Right, and it's just crazy that they put that right next to Old Dan, and you'll see so many of the forbidden chests are in very precise areas of the world that you're going to go to for the main story. I bet you all the city gates don't have their own passage down to Lowtown, don't you think? Yeah, I guess so. By the way, look at the Chocobo sign up there. I noticed that while editing a previous part. I think that thing looks so cool. Look at it. And how it's got, you can kind of see through it to the sun behind. So yeah, we get a door there. Don't get to go into it. Another Chocobo pen with more Chocobos or repositioned Chocobos this time. Reminds me of Clasko's Ranch a little bit. Look at this little Moogle hanging over the edge. I love it. Okay, this guy. A Chocobo aficionado. I sure could go for a Chocobo ride about now. Have to be careful not to let myself get carried away, though. You can't ride forever. I found myself having to make long walks back. Getting a Chocobo up to a good sprint is good fun, too, but I always tire the poor fellow out early, and then there's no more sprinting for me. The more I talked about him, the more I want to ride him. Running through the fields, ears flapping in the wind, ain't nothing like it. Now, we could do it already. Here's Gurdy. Gurdy actually appears in loads of Final Fantasies, like a Moogle called Gurdy. It's kind of nuts. Well, hello there. You're no stranger to the yellow birds just behind me, I'm sure. Yes, my friend, I speak of the Chocobos, Kupo. These noble birds make for excellent steeds, fleet of foot and sturdy of limb. Arduous journeys fly by atop a Chocobo, Kupo. Only 500 gil. Sounds fair. Kupo? Po? What's this? You haven't enough gil? Perhaps another time, Kupo. So there you have it. I'm going to use this save crystal now, which is orange, by the way, meaning we can teleport with it. Our only one we've ever found is here in Rabanasta, but we do have a stone already. You remember I mentioned before we didn't sell that as loot. So orange crystals are like a fast travel system, but they require stones to use. If we want a more sturdy form of travel, we would need something a little bit more powerful than that, but we don't have any such tool right now. Maybe one day. So, yes, this Gurdy character as well, by the way, and this exact dialogue, or no, actually, I think the dialogue of the person telling us how to ride them. There's so much, like, overdone trivia. Look at those guards on the left and the right there. Overdone trivia on the internet about that. In some recent interviews for the Zodiac Age, they talked a bit about how in Japanese... Look at these little rabbits. They sound so cute, too. They talked a bit about how in Japanese that dialogue was more explicit, like, you are in a video game, this is how to ride the thing, and it wasn't immersive. And they changed it in the West. And, I mean, that's a cool little anecdote, don't get me wrong. But it's mentioned everywhere online now. I don't know why, but that one piece of information blew up. Anyway, so yes, we are now south of Rabanasta. We're at a place called the Throne Road. And this is a very short walk if we want it to be. It's literally right down there is the village. We can take a stop, though, and fight some new kinds of wolves. These will be the hyenas, which I'm not sure if killing a lot of these ends up giving us more information about the world. And Rabanasta. There's all kinds of like extra lore I could be giving you already. Man, I love seeing them flash right before I get that last hit. But I guess we'll wait with that. So, Giza Rabbits. These guys are kind of cool in that we can hit steel to nick something from them. That makes them hostile. And as soon as they're hostile, they actually run away from you. And it can be very dangerous and very scary to follow. And look, he's casting Protect on himself now, which means we're going to hit him for less damage. They also heal themselves and stuff. They're really cool. Very cute. I like them a lot. Sadly, Vaughn's always in the way when I try and zoom in and give you guys a good look. But yeah, these guys run away, so you have to be careful because often they'll run into like a pack of wolves, and then they turn around to fight you again, and you know you might get overwhelmed because you've over aggroed. So do be cautious. There are some really dangerous things wandering around the Giza Plains. This is kind of the first big open area that you can end up exploring in the game, but there are, and so there's no big T-Rexes or anything, but there are still things that you want to be a little bit cautious of. Also, the rabbits won't attack you just by default, so you don't have to worry too much. So yeah, we'll just steal from this guy and keep going. There's a weird thing with the controls in Final Fantasy XII. If you play on PC, I'm sure you can do better. But with a controller, try and think about my hands right now. I've got my thumbs on the two sticks, one for moving the camera, one for running Vaan around. So, to open the battle menu, I have to leave a stick. And then if I want to navigate the battle menu, I'm using the D-pad. So to use the D-pad while also running like this, I'm kind of holding the controller in a really weird way where my index finger goes onto the D-pad. It's not comfortable, but it's pretty much the best that you've got. So, I mean, hey, if you really want to play super fluid, maybe go on PC and, well, you know, maybe use a keyboard and mouse while you're on PC. And things will be a little bit better. So I've obviously got to watch out for Van's health here. I really don't want to potion too much. I want to save these if I can and just use save crystals to heal. So that's an example of one of the slightly more dangerous enemies. I think he is looking at us. We can kill him. So let's grab the potion. There you go. He's running back a little bit here. I will cast slow on that if I have to. I think it's called an Oostrix. We'll see in a second. So you can see the hyena's name is in orange as well, by the way. There is variation to the levels of the enemies that you fight. Sometimes they'll be like level 2, sometimes they'll be 3, sometimes they'll be 4 or whatever. You do want to watch out. And here you'll see these guys are just straight up dropping the firestones we stole as an extra thing from the cactite before. So yeah, let's cast some magic. This is slow. We got a good chance of it landing. It missed. Wow, we hit the 15% chance for it to miss. So the thing is, Van has a vitality stat, and he has a vitality stat, and those can both mess with your chance to hit a condition of some kind. Vitality also increases the duration of positive ones on us, negative ones on them, and reduces negative ones on us and positive ones on them. Does that make sense? So it basically does all those kind of stats you would expect to be messing with like durations for various beneficial effects. So later, if we get a party member that's really good at buffing and stuff, we would want to give it gear that improves its vitality as much as possible. Some of you guys who have played the game before might be wondering what I'm doing right now. And what I'm doing is I'm looking for a Viera. There is a Viera that spawns. Is it on this map, maybe? Where are we now? So we just went through the Warrior's Wash, and we're now at the Tome Hills. I swear she's usually sitting on, like, this rock here or something. She's really cool. You don't often find her. I guess she's not around. I thought she's usually, like, right near the entrance to Giza. We'll keep our eye out for her again later, I suppose. So anyway, the village is in the very center, so we'll just run into the middle area now. And here we are. Nice. So, save crystal. And I made sure to properly save earlier, so I don't need to do it again. Your only risk, really... Oh, God, I misclicked, so we're doing it anyway. Fine, we'll do it anyway. Your only risk, really, is if you're relying on autosaves too much, and then you overrate the autosave in kind of a weird way, you'll be sort of screwed. So, there's Nomad. These men are off on their the men are off on their business, while we women mind the village. Even the children do their part. They make their mistakes, of course, but they learn from them. Oh, there's so many people to talk to here. First things first... We can go to this lady, this Nomad. And she says, you've come from the city. Our village may be small, but you are welcome here. Our village moves with the seasons. When the rains come, Giza fills with water, so we cannot stay. That was not the woman I wanted to talk to. Yes, it's true that this whole area has like a wet and a dry, and it completely changes. Completely. You know, I mentioned weather before. Well, it's even crazier than weather. Have you come to see the dark crystals? Not everyone takes well to the heat of the Giza Plains. Ah, so it's a Sunstone you seek. You've come to the right place. They can only be made here in Giza. They're quite valuable, though, so we can't go handing them out to just anyone who happens to wander through our camp. You see, we make and sell Sunstones to earn the money we need to survive. Still, perhaps we can come to some arrangement. Would you hear my offer? So we can say, sure, why not? And she says, the making of Sunstones is a chore we give to the children of our camp. They roam the plains, traveling from dark crystal to dark crystal, drawing the light from the crystals into shade stones. One of these children, Jin, has not yet returned. He left carrying our supply of shade stones. If you find him and tell him to come back to the camp, you may take one of the sunstones he's made in return. Some of the children said they might have seen him to the south. You may want to speak to them before you leave. Please find Jin and tell him to return at once. So we have to find a missing child.
Penelo? What are you doing here?
I could ask you the same, though the answer is pretty clear. No good.
What? I'm being good.
Is that right? So then you wouldn't mind if I, say, tagged along, would you?
Huh?
Oh, don't worry. Miguelo's busy with preparations for the fete up at the palace. Why, I'm free for the whole day. Well, Let's get going.
So Penelo joins the party. We also get the music change here. This is changed now to Penelo's theme, which is very rare music, really, for the game. Some of the tracks the devs put on the soundtrack, you just don't get to hear often enough. So I wanted to get Penelo in the team first so we can hear this lovely music while we do all the other stuff here at the camp. So here she is. Now, what menu options do we have? They don't bomb it all on you at once. First thing we can do, though, is give her a job. So Vaughn was the thief. And Vaughn is technically an orphan as well, but she will get the orphan job. Focuses on healing and buffing allies while gracefully striking enemies with poles and rods. By the way, we never read the thief description, which is focuses on theft, daggers, ninja blades. These are like more late game things. And hand bombs, swiftly dicing enemies up while deftly evading their blows. That's what Vaughn will be. She is going to be healing and buffing while gracefully striking enemies. So, I want to mention at this point, for a lot of Final Fantasy games, you kind of associate what the character does with the character's personality to an extent, you know? When I think, say, Lulu from a previous Final Fantasy game, I think Black Mage. I think that they're tied together. In 12, that's not true because anyone could do anything. So, I often think of Penelo as a white mage because I've often just done that. Because I've always liked to get a white mage really early and she's the first party member that we get, and I don't know, it just felt fitting to me for some reason. But other people might think of Penelo as, like, you know, an archer, or as a knight, or as a bushi, or whatever any of the other classes are. Or they might not think of her as anything at all if all they played was the original PS2 edition. So you'll probably get the impression as you watch these videos here that each character is a certain way. But that's just because of the way that I'm running the mods and I've got it, you know, the job set up and so on. It's not necessarily true that any of them were anything. It is true that every character has a slightly different animation for every weapon in the game, and completely nutty min-max players do say, oh, Fran is the fastest at using a spear, so that makes Fran a spear wielder, because there is, like, I'm not joking, a fraction of a second, like 0.2 of a second faster with the spear. So therefore, that's Fran's job, that's her class. But again, you don't need to do any of that for this game. I'm amazed at how much information is in Final Fantasy XII about min-maxing the combat system, when in any edition of the game, there is no need to do any of it. It's crazy. But yeah, so people do go like that. I'm not going to be, you know, digging into all that trivia, who's best with what weapon and stuff. You guys want to look that up? You be my guest. So anyway, her grid, as you can see, is different. Now, she has 24. We could, for 25, buy White Magic 2. Which would give her 2 spells we don't know about. You'll notice here she started with Cure. She actually gave us the spell Cure. So we didn't have to buy it from the shop after all. Aha, sneaky little tip. Now, she wears Mystic Armor, or we can give her Light Armor as well, if we'd like. I'll keep her on the Mystic Armor. So, Light Armor, I believe, gives you health. Mystic Armor gives you MP. So, she wants MP if she's going to be casting a lot of spells. Cure in particular here. She's also got a dagger, just like us, which is kind of nice. We could buy her Pulse 1 with 1 more kill. We could give her the Auricare Armlet. That's actually the only thing we can afford right now. Or we can wait a second and give her plus 30 HP, which I really like the idea of. So, we're not even going to spend anything on her there. But there we have it. Right now, who are you, the Nomad Youth? Guess what? I saw Jin off in the south part of the plains in the Crystal Glade. He was right by a small crystal. I asked if he wanted to come back to camp with me, but he said he still had some work to finish up. The Crystal Glade's to the south. Just head out into the Giza Plain and wind your way south. We take breaks in the glade since monsters seem to stay away from it. I was a little worried because Jin looked like he might have been hurt, but I was afraid to push him too hard to come back. Now I'm wondering if I did the right thing. Okay, so they obviously advise you to do that, but the answer as well is that there's this marker on the map. So I'm wondering if the markers on the map came way later in development, because they've got all this stuff like McEnroe telling you where every hunt can be found. Like, what's the point when you get like a marker all the time, you know? I feel like they added that later, and that means you don't really have to speak to any of these NPCs anymore, which is a shame. You'll also notice, though, that we're at the Nomad Village. We don't know how to get down there. Let's talk to the Cartographers Guild. Says a Moogle right here. And he says, I'm just a traveling Moogle, trying to scrape by. I should be here while the dry holds, Kupo, but the monsters during the rain are too scary. The dry should last a while longer, but take care during the rains, Kupo. Those big ball lightnings don't mess around. I keep flubbing my words and saying one word too early and the other too late. Would you like to buy a map? Okay, well, he gave us some advice about the rains, which, don't worry, guys, we won't be seeing for a long while. So we can buy a map. A fine purchase, Kupo. You won't regret it. Moogle's honor. Moogle, I like to think of them doing a little, you know, salute where they raise their fist to their chest or something when they say Moogle's honor and they stand at attention. So there you go. Our location map is complete. 2 ways to do that. One is to scrape all the areas, or you can just buy a map. So there are maps and there are also secret areas which won't be revealed. You need to find a candle for those. Candles are lightweight later, so don't worry about that. But yeah, now we can kind of see what's going on. There's an achievement, by the way, in the game for getting every single part of every single map unfogged. And I don't have that because on my main playthrough that I did on Steam, I can't see where the one tiny pixel is that I haven't unfogged. So yeah, a very familiar experience to me. And well, I'm having it here in Final Fantasy XII. So I want to draw your attention to this little nubbin that's connected to the Tome Hills. Can you see that weird extra chunk? There's actually a hidden thing there that is really important. So we're going to go do that. Penelo says, "Hi, Van. Let me give you these before we go. There are all sorts of monsters out there, so you can never be too careful." So she gave us 3 more motes and 2 tufts of phoenix down. She says, "So far you've been traveling by yourself, but now that I'm here, we can travel as a party. You can give commands to allies in your party, just like you've been doing for yourself up till now. I'll make my own decisions about what to do too, but you can give me specific commands and I'll take care of those. Got it? I'll show you guys what that means." So we can now change party leaders. One more thing. If you don't want me to fight, I'll turn my gambits off. Don't worry about the gambit stuff. She won't even explain gambits properly to us just yet. That happens later. So that bit's a little bit clunky about the game as well, in my opinion. So Penelo says, "Van, I think Jin was supposed to be somewhere to the south. We might find him faster if we head a different way." So yeah, you get a bit of extra dialogue if you come here. I actually came here just to unfog this bit, but hey, whatever. Normally, that was Rabanasta we were looking at there. You can just walk in a straight line and you'll get here. It's just that I was looking for that Vieira. So, real quick as well, there is this pen. We'll deal with the pen later. Let's keep moving. I want to go to this little nubbin place. We'll return to the village. So let's talk about how Penelo works and how the game in general works. So, if I press X, I'll pull up this menu, right? If I go to the D-pad instead and I just straight away press up and down, you see this blue ring appears around us, and we can swap it to new party members. And if I confirm that, we will swap to the new party member. So we're now playing Penelo, and Van is the assistant. So there is a thing in this game. You know how I mentioned they kind of swapped the main character? Well, in a lot of ways, the idea of the main character breaks down because as far as the gameplay is concerned, you can just control whatever party member you want, which is more true to the more classic Final Fantasies, in all honesty. And I really like this. I got such a kick out of this in the original day. So I'm going to be playing Penelo here. The issue with Penelo is she's got very low health. Look at that. She only has 79. So when we run over to, say, and here I'm going to just do this real quick for fun. When we run over to this wolf. Oh, who isn't oh, yeah, because he doesn't see us. I'll talk about that in a second. When we run over to the wolf, he might swing at us first. See, he's coming at us. Because we have because we aggroed him first. So it is kind of better to play as your tanky person. But nonetheless, I can maybe like have Penelo kite a bit and then Van will slash the thing up and that'll be pretty good. Grab a little bit of Gil here as well. So yeah, and we can swap it anytime we like. Now, you'll see there's a G has appeared next to Van and Penelo's name. That G stands for gambits. What gambits are is basically AI. It's very, very, very primitive, simple programming that you, the player, can mess with in-game to tell your party members what they will do automatically without you having to input anything. So you can see how Van is attacking there. I never actually told him to attack. Okay, look, Penelo's gonna die here. Alright, she casts Cure. Nice, well done. And she just cast Cure. I never told her to cast Cure. So we've got to be very careful on this. Let's go for this hyena on here. Let's keep running around. As long as I'm kiting and Van is getting the hits in, that should be pretty good. I never told her to use Cure there. Look, she's kind of low here and she's not trying to, which is very bad. This guy's critical, so we can hit him and get the kill. So here, again, it's very, very difficult to run around and trigger these things. That's because of their gambits. So if you don't like the idea of them doing anything automatically, which a lot of us didn't, by the way, the gambit system was one of the things people didn't like. If you don't like that, you can turn them off. This here, Gambit menu, just turn it off. That's what they said has been added. So now, everything I have to manually do. Penello's on the attack there. I'll swap over to Vaan, and I'll tell him to attack. And then once Vaan gets an attack in, I'll go steal. And then Penello's getting a little bit low already, so... And they will auto-attack. That is the one thing they will continue to do without Gambit. So he'll keep auto-attacking. You don't have to input every single little attack. But once she's cured, she'll go back to attacking here, see? So you can do everything manually if you like. And that used to sound really fun and compelling to me when I was a lot younger, but in truth, the whole automation makes the game a lot smoother and actually is a big part of the game's build craft. So I do recommend people use Gambits, and later we'll learn how to customize them. Right now, we can't customize them. We can just choose whether they're on or off. And so Penello does have Cure. Her AI will only have her use Cure when with very low health, like 20% health or lower, which does leave her vulnerable to dying. Later, we might like to tweak that. Now that we have 2 party members as well, though, by the way, if one of us dies, it's not an instant game over. You can continue playing as the other people until you find a save crystal and resurrect the person. So maybe I can show that to you guys. I'm kind of scared about dying here. So this guy's asleep. We can get a big hit on him, or we can run away from him. I think I will attack him, and probably before he wakes up as well. So we'll open with Vaan, who I think has slightly higher strength. There you go, he hits 70. So yeah, you can continue playing if someone dies. We also have Phoenix Downs. So these revive KO'd people. If Penello can't keep us alive with her cure, you know, if she gets kicked again, she might die here. This guy's a bit tankier. Oh wow, we got a good combo. He's critical. One more hit. Down he goes. If someone dies, you can Phoenix Down them up. Phoenix Downs are rare and expensive early game, so I really advise you don't rely on them. Try and keep the money from them. Even you can sell them if you'd like. Let's keep her healed up. So here you'll see, because there's a lot of running around here, her MP kind of stays good as long as this is the only spell she's casting. If you give her too many spells, she'll struggle a bit. So here's another thing you just saw a second ago. Let's see. This is a whole party of wolves. So we want to focus on the weaker one. We also want to know who the weaker one is. So I'm going to throw a Libra mote on Vaan. So here's Penello. She's HP critical. Just got the heal. So Vaan now has Libra. So we can mouse through and see. This guy has 60 health, 185, and 300 on the Alpha. The Alpha's massive. We want to be kind of careful about him. So let's all now focus this one. Focusing the weaker one seems like a good idea. Penello's weak, so I'm going to run her away. There you go. Vaan is not attacking for some reason. Sorry, Vaan. I'm not sure why he's not doing that there. And you can do really, really amazing... Wait, what the hell, Vaan? Oh, are his gambits on? Not on? No, they are. Wow, Penello's dead. Okay, so this this is pretty scary. Okay, so hold on. This is hard to commentate, man. I can't play on active. So we're going to pause. We're going to go to Phoenix Down. It'll be less chaotic if you play the game this way. So yeah, if you use no gambits and you play on wait mode, it basically becomes like a regular Final Fantasy. So you can see she's knocked out over there, sitting down on the ground. Nice little animation. I'm going to throw a Phoenix Down on her, which will bring her back. But you'll see she only has 15 health. She should immediately use Cure on that. There you go. And Vaan, I don't know what's going on. Maybe we have to control Vaan. Maybe his default gambits are really awful. And let's just hope this guy doesn't combo us or anything. He's level 4. Yeah, he swapped targets, which was really dumb of him. We could try and steal from him as well if we like. And see what comes out of it. There you go, we get a Firestone. Nice. Probably not worth it. Here you go, he's critical. Get the attack in. And down he goes. So this area is really dangerous, really scary. One of the other things we could have done, and this is what I was trying to explain before, is we could have actually snuck... Oh, she's out of MP. That's kind of scary. We could have snuck past. See... In the vanilla game, enemies can see you and hear you and do all kinds of things, which means that they'll just always run at you. But the devs did code in like a cone of vision mechanic. There is proper stealthing in the game where you sneak around enemies, which is now re-implemented in the version of the game that I'm playing right now. I've added that back in. They won't just hear you and run over all the time, so you can sneak around. And that's one way to get here. This is a hard fight, so if you're a bit worried, you can instead sneak. So anyway, all of that is for the blind spell. Check it out. It was in a hidden chest. That's 100% chest. It will never come back once you've grabbed it here. And it's off in this little nubbin. Really worthwhile coming to. Blind is an excellent ability. We will be using blind possibly more... Oh, wow. Penelo focused on herself rather than the Varn there. That's funny. I mean, he could always just potion. I'm going to risk it and try and get back to the crystal. You see an enemy's roamed in over here now as well. So I'm actually going to use Flee because I think it's wiser for us to go there. So Blind is really good. It is never available in any shops. The only place to get it is here at Giza. And there are many spells just like that encourage a little bit more exploration. I remember being really excited about that change in the International Zodiac job system. And I still am to this day. I think it's nice. So, yeah, we'll hit the save crystal. And what do we want to do? Well, we can go to jobs and we can learn Black Magic 2 here, which will give us blind and poison. Now, we don't have the poison spell. We don't know where that is. That's in another chest. We'll be getting that on the next part. But we do have blind now, and that's going to be... We could have blinded the alpha hyena there. Varn, you'll see now, is a bit of a debuffer. He can slow people, and he can blind them while hacking them apart with a dagger. You can see a little bit how his build is. Over to Penelo. Well, she's really squishy, right? So let's give her this HP plus 30. Which will bring her HP much more in line with Varn's. That HP plus 30 is like equivalent to what Varn got from a full level up earlier, remember? We'll hit the crystal again to actually heal that. So there you go. So that's the blind spell. It's worthwhile. Now we just got to pick our route to get down to Jin and help him back to the village. So we will go in this direction. And what I'll actually do now, guys, as well, is I'll show you a little bit what it's like to flee, which is perfectly valid. You do come out with a little bit less LP. But I kind of want to end the video over at Jin, so I'm going to do this here. You can see a Sunstone there. Pretty nice. Some of them are dark, like that one there. Some of them are lit up. There's kind of a mini game you can play for money here where you operate around them. We'll see soon. By the way, the sun beats on these crystals and charges them up magically. This happens in a lot of fantasy games and fantasy settings, but I'm pretty sure the idea is in this one that the sun is like a giant ball of magic, essentially, that's leaking it out. And so these stones here in Giza have found a way to absorb it, basically. So that's kind of maybe why they're lighting up. Either that or I'm getting this confused with some Elder Scrolls information. I guess we'll see in the clan primer later. So here, by the way, there is an ally, a Banger Hunter. You see he's actually stronger than us. And he has Haste, Shell, and Protect. Those are all very strong buffs, which will be very, very useful. He actually will help us fight this wolf. And if you stand around him, he'll cast the buffs on us. So Penelo now has Haste. And you'll see next to her health bar, she has the Haste icon. If you end up having lots of stuff, see, he's casting another one now as well, and he's hasting Varn. Now, if you end up having loads of buffs all at once, only one icon will show. So what you want to do is press triangle. And you can see next to their nameplate, it says Varn, and he's got the haste icon, and it says Penelo with the haste icon. Well, all the other icons you get would stack next to that. It's a little bit of a shame, but hey. So anyway, those guys are good. You should always run over to them, and you can use that haste to fight quite comfortably. So, here we are. We're down at the another save crystal, which will help us out. Very south in the Giza Plains here. And there is a kid tied out by the crystal. Yeah, my name's Jin. What's it to ya? Masuya wants me to come back to the village, huh? That could be a problem. Let's see. Maybe my leg's better now? Ooh. Nope, not good. Still hurts. I tripped running from some monsters. Guess I pulled something. I'm never going to get any sunstones made like this. I just needed to make one more to be finished for today. I didn't want to head back short, so I thought I'd give my leg a rest to try again. Why are you out here looking for me anyhow? Well, we can explain the situation. I like how we're Penelo talking to the kid. She seems to know... Oh, well, now we swapped to Varn. So, you need a sunstone, huh? Well, if Masuya doesn't mind, I'll give you a shade stone, but I'm still not sure I can walk yet. You'll have to turn it into a sunstone, okay? Don't worry, I'll tell you how. You do know that we use dark crystals and shade stones to make sunstones, right? So, he's going to give us a shade stone. So, this is what... We want the Crescent Stone, but we need to charge up a shade stone into a sunstone and then trade that with Dallin. So, a stone into a stone into a stone. There's your shade stone. As for the dark crystals, you find them all over Giza Plains. The stone right here beside me is one of the smaller ones. The bigger crystals have something inside that soaks up sunlight and shines really bright. Like that one over there. If you take that shade stone I just gave you and bring it near one of those shining dark crystals, it will absorb the energy from it. We get this nice panoramic view here. There are 4 shining crystals in Giza right now. If you have trouble finding them, just stop and scan the horizon. There's no way to tell how much energy you can draw from one crystal without trying, so you shouldn't need to use all 4. Yeah, you don't need to... This isn't some enormous fetch quest. You only need to go to a couple. This gauge will show you how much energy the Shade Stone's absorbed. When it's full, you'll have yourself a Sunstone. Once you've made the Sunstone, bring it to me, and I'll make sure it's up to snuff. I'll go ahead and mark the dark crystal on your map too. See you back here when you're done. So, there we go. The quest basically begins. He says, be careful about wandering too far south. There are werewolves down there and you don't want to mess with them. That's how, well, it's a long story. The important thing is you remember how to make the Sunstone. Take the Shade Stone, blah, blah, blah. You know what's kind of funny? Those werewolves, if they attacked me, I would just instantly die. And yet he's actually managed to survive. We haven't seen the werewolves. We'll have a look at them in a second. So look at the map. You can see it's actually very easy. We just need to go to that one there that we're looking at. And then we just go to one that's over there. That's it there. And then the one off on the left. And that's it. And you'll be back near the village. Very, very simple stuff. And we will be able to get the Crescent Stone from Darlin. That, unfortunately, will have to be in the next part, though, guys. So I will see you there. We'll also get some special new magic, too. And break into the palace once and for all. Thanks, everybody. Me and Pinello. See you next time.